making a journal about law, like this the law of the land type of stuff, man. I mean, I went into it earlier. I'm just gonna read it out, like read it out loud, just so I can a better, better idea on this. So I'm really concerned that like the government is changing our laws. Like I don't, and like they're trying to like, all right, we need to pass this law, we need to do this law, we need to like it's a playbook. They're trying to fucking make up as they go. So here we go. Law is a system of rules that are created to enforce social or government institutions, to regulate behavior. Law as a system helps regulate and ensures a community shows respect and equality amongst themselves. State enforced laws can be made collectively, legislative, or a single legislator, resulting in statutes. Executive throughout decrees and regulations established by judges through a precedent, normally in common law jurisdictions. Private individuals can create legally binding contracts. That's very important when people create contracts with each other, including laws of arbitration, business agreements. They may elect to accept alternative arbitration to the normal court process. Formation of laws themselves can be influenced by a constitution, written or tacked. Rights encoded therein, the law shapes policies, economics, history, and society in various ways, serves as a mediator of relations between people. It's kind of like a fancy word for like they're basically moderators. Like general distinction can be made. A civil jurisdiction, including Catholic canon law and socialist law, which are legislative or other central confines and consolidates their laws, and B. common laws, systems where judge-made precedent is accepted as a binding law. Historically, religious laws play a significant role in settling and secular matters, which is still the case in some religious communities, particularly Jewish and some other countries, particularly Islamic Sharia law is the most widely used religious law. The adjunct of the law is generally divided into two main areas referred to as I, criminal law, 2, civil law. Criminal law deals with conduct that is considered to be harmful to social order, which is the guilty party must be imprisoned or fined. Civil law, not to be confused with civil law jurisdictions, deals with resolution of lawsuits, disputes between individuals or organizations. Laws provide rich source of scholarly, I don't know why I fucked that up, inquiry into legal history, philosophy, and economic analysis of science. Let me read that carefully. Sociology. Laws also raises important and complex issues concerning equality, fairness, and justice. There's an old saying that we are all equal before the law. Although Jonathan Swift argued that laws are like cobwebs, they may catch small flies, but they let the wasp and the hornets break through. It's not 100% guaranteed. I mean, there will be mistakes. In 1894, the author of Anarchy, France said sarcastically, in its majestic equality, the law forbids the rich and poor alike to sleep under bridges, beg in the streets, and steal loaves of bread. Writing in 300 BC, Greek philosopher Aristotle declared the rule of law is better than the rule of any individual. That's for all you tyrants out there, if you had a hard time grasping the concept of law. Mikhail Bakhtin said all laws has for its objective to confirm and exalt into a system exploitation of its workers by a ruling class. Cicero said more laws, less justice. Marxist doctrine asserts of the law will not be required once the state has withered away. Regardless one views of the law, it remains today to be completely a central institution. So I wanted to go to the history real quick. This was a very important thing on Wikipedia. I need to go through it again. The history of laws links closely to the development of civilization. Ancient Egyptian law, dating far back as 3000 BC, contained civil codes that were probably broken up into 12 books. It was based on a concept of matat, characterized by the tradition of rhetoric speech, social equality, and impartial by the 22nd century BC. The ancient Sumerian ruler Unar-Namar had formulated the first law code, which consisted of I can't fucking say that word, caustic statements. If around 1760 BC, King Hammurabi further developed the Babylonian law by codifying and inscribing it in stone. Hammurabi placed several copies of his law code throughout the kingdom of Babylon as stelae, rock fragments, for the public to see, for the entire public to see. I slurred those words so bad. This became as the Codex of Hammurabi. The most intact copy of the stelae was discovered in the 19th century by British Assyrianologists. It has since been transliterated to translated various languages, including English, Italian, and German and French. Then we're moving on to the Old Testament that dates back from 1200 AD BC and takes the form of a moral imperatives as recommendations for a good society. The small Greek city-state, ancient Athens, oh, that sweet Athens, from the 8th century BC, was the first society to be based on a broad inclusion of its citizenry, including women and the slave class. However, Athens had no legal science or a single word for law, relying instead of a three-way distinction between the divine laws, theremis, a human decree, normos, a custom, and dei. Yet an ancient Greek law contained major constitutional innovations in the development of democracy. Roman laws was heavily influenced by Greek philosophy. It was detailed rules that were developed by professional jurists and were highly sophisticated. Over the centuries between the rise and decline of the Roman Empire, law was adapted to cope with the changing social situations that underwent major codifications under Theseus II, or hold on, I mispronounced that. Theodosius II, I meant, and Justinian. Although codes were replaced by customs and case laws during the Dark Ages, Roman laws were rediscovered around the 11th century when medieval legal scholars began to research Roman codes and adapt them to their concepts. Latin. Legal maxims called brocards were compiled for guidance in medieval England. Royal courts developed by a body of precedent, which later became the common law. A Europe-wide law merchant was formed that merchants can trade with common standards of practice rather than with the many splintered facets of local laws. The law merchant, a precursor to modern commercial law, emphasized the freedom and contract and alienability of property as nationalism grew in the 18th, 19th century. Law merchants was incorporated in the countries of local law under the civil codes. Napoleonic and German codes became the most influential. In contrast to English common law that consists of enormous tomes in case of law, codes and small books are easy to export and easy for judges to apply. However, today there are signs that civil and common law are converging. EU laws are codified in treaties but develops through a precedent laid down by European court justice. Ancient India and China represented distinct traditions of law, have historically had independent schools, legal theories, and practice. Arthashastra, probably compiled around 100 AD, although it contains old material in the Manusmriti 100 BC to 300 AD, were foundational treaties in India and comprised texts considered authoritative legal guidance. Manuru's central philosophy was tolerance, pluralism, and cited across Southeast Asia. Hindu tradition became, along with Islamic law, was supplemented by common laws, and India became part of a British Empire. Malaysia, Brunei, Singapore, Hong Kong also adopted these common laws. Eastern Asia's legal tradition reflects a unique blend of secular religious influences. Japan was the first country to begin modernizing its legal system along the Western lines by importing bits of the French, mostly in German civil code. This partly reflected German status as rising power in the late 19th century. Similarly, tradition Chinese law gave way to westernization towards the final years of the Qing dynasty, in the form of six private law codes that basically mainly on the Japanese model, the German law. Today, Taiwanese laws retain the closest affinity to codifications from that period because the split between Shikan Shi nationalists fled there and the Mao Zedong communists who won control of the mainland in 1949. Current legal infrastructure of the People's Republic of China were heavily influenced by Soviet socialist law, which essentially inflates the administrative law which expenses of the private law rights. Due to rapid industrialization, today China is undergoing a process of reform in terms of economic, if not social, political rights. New conduct codes in 1999 moved away from the administrative domain. Furthermore, after negotiations lasted 15 years, China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001. And let's see. Okay, well, I think that's about it. I'm gonna end it right there. So, how do I pause this? Come on. Oh, it's on way over there. I'm gonna have to come back. So, the media is definitely trying to pass laws in order to censor people's speech, myself included. I'm not really like special, you know, but it's like a general like practice that they do to control the population's way of thought. So if they pass these laws, technically you're not allowed to proceed any further inquiry on those thoughts. Why is this? Why is that? Why over there? And so yeah, I'm starting to get a better understanding of Trump's tactics. He wants to pass all these laws so he can put his name on everything, even though he said he's not. Well, see, this is the problem. That, like, he still has children, dude, that like can like move his pieces for him. Like, an invisible hand still guides. Even when you're the president of the United States. And of course, watch their media fucking like trolls fucking try to climb over this fucking bridge for fucking. See, I have a troll blocker on my bridge, so anytime a troll crosses, man, I zap them. So that works for me. You guys should try it out sometime. But like, look, the only person who's benefiting from changing these laws are corporations who get to fucking tax people according to their propaganda, to their, well, I wouldn't say propaganda, but look, if they're trying to sell you an idea, changing the laws is the first step they would take.